Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching. Welcome to Learning with Friends. I am Pat Fairless from Fairless Stamp and Flair, and today is the last Thursday of the month. It is June 26th, which means it is Fun Fold Week. And I'm doing something a little bit different today. We're not going to make a card. We're going to make a corner bookmark. I've seen these around for a while. I've never tried it. Frankly, I don't know, kind of thought they might be a little bit silly. I'll just flip the corner over of my book, right? But I've had so much fun this past week making these. I got a little bit carried away. They're so easy, and at least this design is. And you can decorate them however you want. So we're going to make one of those today. And then stick around to the end because I have some news about what comes next on Learning with Friends, or what might or might not come next. I'm still working on it a bit, but I want to give you an update, and we'll fill you in then. So hang around to the end. So let's flip the other camera on and get started. So, like I do with Fun Folds, I made a prototype, and I usually just jot some dimensions on here to help me remember. But this is so simple. Take your book, and it just slides on the corner. Or obviously not on the front page, but on the inside. Now, what I did figure out, I didn't make all of them super flat. I am a dimensional aholic, as you guys know. And I have a hard time making flat cards. It's just not my thing. But I tried to keep these a little bit flatter. I didn't 100% succeed. Let me just got something going on here with my computer. Let me take a look. Well, I'm not exactly sure what's going on. All right, here's me. That's what I was trying to do. You'd think I'd have this learned by now, but wait till the end. It may not be necessary. Anyway, so this is my prototype, and we're going to make a card today, or a card. We're going to make this bookmark today with absolutely no stamping. So if I somehow get ink on my fingers, you will know I have a personal problem. I don't even have any ink pads on. But I am going to be using two different die sets to make this. We're going to use the paper tag bundles. Now, we're not going to use the stamps, but we are going to use these dies. And we're going to use this one, and we're going to use it in a little bit unique way in order to create a border. So you'll see on this one, I decorated it with just a little border die I have. That is the easiest way to do it. This is not current. And I went through all of my dies, and believe me, I have a lot of current dies. I went through all my current ones. I don't have that many current ones, really. I have a lot of retired ones. And this was the closest thing I could come up with to make an interesting border along the bottom of my card. So we're going to use the die from Paper Tags. And then I'm also going to use this bundle, Spring Corners, and we are going to use this die, which creates kind of like a flower cutout. So I just wanted to show you what I was going to use. I will show you how to use this one, but here's how we start. We start with a 4x4 piece of cardstock, and I do have a tutorial. I will post a tutorial to one of the bookmarks on a link. I'll put a link down below on YouTube. Just look down and you'll find a link. So you can get all these dimensions, so you don't need to write anything down or memorize it. But we start with a piece of 4x4 cardstock, and we need a ruler. And on 3 of the sides, and I just go, it doesn't matter. I can just start on one side, And we're going to measure to the center. Since this is 4 by 4, we're going to measure to the center, which is obviously 2 inches. Now, I should have my glasses. So this might be a little off because I did not bring my reading glasses out here. Oh, I know where they are. Also, I don't know where they are. Oh, here we go. Still learning which drawer things are in. All right. I don't know if this helps or not because I'm not exactly at the right distance for reading glasses or no glasses. I can see it better with none, this distance. So I'm going to put a little tick mark here at 2, and then we'll just rotate, and we're going to do that on 3 sides. Doesn't matter which 3 sides, any 3 sides, just measure 2 inches and make a little mark. So I don't know if I tried to use a little bit lighter color. This is Lost Lagoon. I know it's kind of hard to see, but I have a tick mark there, and we are now going to score at an angle on 2 of the corners, and that's how we get our angle. So let me grab my trimmer. And where's the trash? There it is. Get the cutting blade out of the way. I still do that a lot. And I'm going to take one tick mark and the other, and I'm just going to line it up in the center of our little groove on our trimmer. Now you could also use a Simply Score tool or some other kind of scoring tool you might have. And then we'll just repeat on the other one. So here's my tick mark on this side, and here it is on that side. So I've got that lined up. And I have my corner bookmark. That is all there is to that. Is that not super easy? Now, this is what we're going to decorate. And it's easier to decorate it when it's flat. So I'm just going to take an eraser and just remove those little tick marks. Most of it would get covered up and not visible anyway, but we don't need them there. So what I have decided to do, and I haven't made this one yet, I'm going to put a strip across the bottom, but I want to put some sort of a border, and that's the next thing I want to show you. And I said I was going to use this die. Well, this would be very simple if I just laid it like this. Now, this piece does not cut, so it will just cut on one side. But I didn't think these 2 pointed corners, if I cut it like this would be the easy way to do it. But I didn't like the idea of having these 2 little pointed corners sticking down, because I figured as somebody would slide it in and out of their book, that's going to get kind of messed up. So I really wanted it to go this way. So I had rounded corners. Now the problem is, if I run this all the way through, I'm going to have a tag like this. But let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to grab my Stampin' Cut and Emboss, and I better put the handle on my side, or that will be really awkward to crank, wouldn't it? And I'm going to lay this along the edge I want. Now, normally I would tell you, because this is a blunt kind of straight edge, to put this through at an angle if you were going to cut the whole tag, but we can't do that because we're only just going to go in far enough to just touch it and just cut this edge. And to hold that straight, I'm going to take just a little piece of washi tape. I don't want it to move at an angle. I want it to stay straight. So let's get that just above. Get it about centered on each side. And just hold that in place. Now I'm going to crank this through, and when I feel it hit this, I am going to almost stop immediately. I might go just a little bit further because we don't want to go too far because it's going to then cut up the sides. Now it wouldn't matter if you kind of cut up to here even. You could have your scallop all the way around. In fact, that might look really nice. But I wanted to show you how to do a partial die cut. So here we go. So, okay, I can feel I'm against the edge. I'm going to hold my handle so I just feel it start. And you can usually tell once it's over. You feel just a little bit of a let up and then bring it back. And that's the way you can turn your dies into border dies. Now, I probably went a little bit further. Sometimes it's a little hard to tell, but I can snip this off here, no problem. And I'm going to put a border edge around there anyway, so just move this stuff out of our way. So I'm just going to snip this off. It's going to get covered with my decorations. It's hard to tell when you've actually cut a little bit. Practice on scrap, I would recommend. And I'm much better if I'm cranking this way and controlling it than when I'm doing it to the side. So I went a little bit further. It was harder for me to tell because I hadn't really done that before. But that's that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a border across here. I am going to use this perennial lavender, I think it's called, designer series paper. Is that what it's called? I think so. So the rest is just assembly and decorating however you want to decorate. And there are probably as many ideas as your imagination has. But I'm going to keep it simple. Like I said, no stamping on mine. So I'm going to take a piece of this perennial lavender paper. And we're going to add this here across the bottom. Now, you might have noticed I also have a piece of cardstock. If you're wondering what that's for, 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And we're going to use this to create something to hold it on the back. And we'll show you that at the end. You can also put that piece on the front if you want it a little bit more sturdy. But because I'm going to add some layers here, I'm not going to put it on. So let's go ahead and just adhere that down. Sometimes this wants to work and sometimes it doesn't like to start. I'm sure that is operator error. But I much prefer this to sticky fingers. Although we will use our liquid glue for the, to hold it down, because I just not have to use it now. All right, let me get it moving. There we go. I need to go like that, I think. Okay, this does have a little bit of directionality, so I think this is up. And now I'm going to put this down. This is why I said it didn't really matter that I went too far. I just kind of wanted to try to show you. And we are going to lay this. So just a bit of that scalloped edge is showing along the corner. Okay. And then for the top, up here to decorate the top, I said we were going to use this die. And I used a piece of basic white that is the same size as what this diagram number 2, which is 2 3/4. This is, call this our support piece. That is 2 3/4. And actually, you know what? I did put this on here. So we're going to do the way I cut it. Okay, I'm confused. For this piece, we're going to turn it into 2 triangles. So I'm just going to cut this from one corner to the other. And we will go ahead and use that. Do I need to? Let me see. I've taken my basic white and lay my die on here. And I think what I planned was to leave a little bit of a border. Yeah, that's what I was going to do. All right, so I die cut this with this flower here. You just laid it in the corner and ran it through the machine. Then I'm going to take a piece of designer series paper and I cut this 1/16 inch smaller than this. This was cut to 2 5/8 by 2 5/8. And that's just so that I have a tiny little border around the point of the card. And I did that for a couple of reasons, and I can show you why I thought I would do that. So this one I am going, because this is kind of got more holes than paper, about half and half probably. So we're just going to use this as our flower. And like I said, I cut it 1/16 inch smaller, which is just a smidgen. If you don't know what a 16th is, it's that little line between the eighths. Because I didn't want it to stick out behind. I wanted it to have just, I didn't care if it was line to line, but sometimes if it's line to line, you still see it behind there. So a 1/16 of an inch, if you're not, I know a lot of people don't like 16ths, but on a ruler, is that hard to see? Maybe. I need something behind it so you can see it better. That's probably easier. We have one, this is a quarter, the first big line, and then between them is an eighth, and the 16th is between halfway. 1/16 is half of 1/8. So if your ruler doesn't have 16ths on it, just go in between the two eighth lines. So that is that. Now, I'm going to put that up here on this corner, and this is why I was saying the backing pieces are 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. I kept it just a smidge smaller because I figured it looked nice to have the little Lost Lagoon border. And also, as you're putting it in and out of books, it's probably best. You might catch it. I don't know. You might not. So let's go ahead and just adhere this down. Now, this is really hard for me. We're going to adhere this down directly and not put it. I'm not going to pop that on dimensionals. I really want to. But it just, for inside of a book, I figure it makes it a little bit more bulky. So we'll just keep it nice and flat. And there's our bookmark. Oh, I forgot something. I'm gonna take that back off. That is not our bookmark. We are going to put some ribbon on here. And I've got this Lost Lagoon cording. I believe it's still available. And I'm just going to wrap this a couple times around here. This was part of the Amazing Otter suite. Just such a fun suite. I was kind of sorry to see that on the last chance list. Last time I checked, though, it's still available. But I don't think the cording went on last chance. I did check, but I don't think I think the cording is remaining available, at least for the time being. Hey, that little bit of glue I got on there. I want to wrap it twice and then tie it. Here we go. And I'm making myself plenty because have you ever cut your ribbon too small and then you got to make a bow? Oh. That's the worst. It's too hard. I'd rather use, I got plenty of ribbon. So don't skimp on ribbon when you're trying to wrap and make a bow. I'll separate that a little bit. And let's just go ahead and tuck that under there. That way I kind of tie the two together. And I know that this front thing, focal point, we'll call it, is going to come down here. And I want to make sure my bow doesn't end up right under it. So I want to keep it off here to the right. So let's see how I do. I am not a great bow maker. I can use my bow easy with the best of them, but I gotta tell you, the fact that I got that little bit of glue on there has really helped because it kind of holds this ribbon from falling away. All right, so let's go ahead and trim this off. I'm pretty happy with that bow. I didn't do too bad. Okay, now we can put this down. And since it's been sitting out here, I will just add a little bit more. It's still a little sticky. And my fingers are sticky. All right, lift that up because we want to put that under there. Now, you wouldn't have to put the ribbon on. You could totally leave the ribbon off. It probably should now be popped up on dimensionals because now I have a bump. All right, hadn't made this one before, so we're learning as we go. So let me grab some dimensionals. And we are just going to make a little bit bulkier bookmark. Well, dimensionals stick to green glue. They should, right? They are definitely sticking to my fingers. Oh, okay. This is a learn as we go project. That's what happens when I don't pre-make them. Oh, where'd that go? That thing popped out of my finger off the glue and went halfway across the room. All right. We'll get there, I promise. And I probably have the dimensional right on top of the ribbon. Of course. We'll get there yet, guys. There we go. Now it's laying a little bit flatter. I like that better. Except for it's crooked, but it's okay. I'm going to show you how to do the back of the bookmark. So this folds over, and this is where we use this half of this triangle, and it just covers all of this up, and it holds it down. Now, the main thing you want to make sure of here is you do want to use some good strong adhesive. Liquid adhesive works fine. If you have tear and tape and prefer that to liquid adhesive tear and tape, I'd recommend one of those. Seal Plus would probably be fine, but you do want a nice strong adhesive. So I'm going to give this one more little burnish here, and we are just going to use our liquid adhesive and cover this up. Both sides. And cover the back. Makes it look nice and neat. And we have a bookmark. Now, it looks a little plain. I've got a lot of white here, so I found these purple gems in my stash. I think these purple fine shimmer gems are called. I don't remember for sure, but they might have been part of Celebration. I don't remember always when things come out. But let's just add some of these. And I want the dark ones. I'm going to pick these medium color ones here. And where do I want it? Maybe there. Does anybody else struggle with where to put gems like I do? I know they say put them in triangles, but sometimes a triangle seems so boring. I don't know, like that better. So I put it on. So there is our bookmark. No, that wasn't too bad, except for some of my flubbing around. But I'm going to show you 3 more. that I had fun making, and I probably could have made a dozen of them. In fact, I'm thinking these could make some great little gifts for reading friends. Stick them in a card. You could easily mail these within a card for their birthday and give them a bookmark. This one here is also very flat, no stamping, just like today's. And I just let the designer series paper do the work. This is the Nests of Winter designer series paper. Use 3 different ones. These little pine cones here were in the paper. I just fussy cut those. Used a little black of our Basics Essential twine. So that is that one. This was the very first one I made. I wanted to do a sailboat theme. So this one was made with Sunrise Sailing. And this is a little die cut, the sailboat. The only stamping on here were those 2 little birds. Everything else is, this designer series paper is the Amazing Otters designer series paper. So, and I had some red braided trim that I just put on there because I thought it needed a little pop of color. So there's that one, and I got one more. This one I probably got the fanciest on, at least it feels the fanciest. I stamped the flower and colored it with Stampin' Blends. Did a little shading with blender brush. Used a Stampin' Right marker to create some speckles. And this die cut is also from this Spring Corners. It's this die right here to just dress up the top. And this was a stylish shapes die that I just used to cut that. So again, all quick, simple little bookmarks. So that is that. I hope you will try to make some. Let me clean up my mess. Mainly put away my glue before I make a mess. My hands, I cleaned them, but they're still sticky. All right, let me move my camera back over here. All right, see if it works. Okay, it worked. So I hope you like that. I hope you give it a try. It's not as hard as I might have made it look. I should probably get back to practicing the one I'm going to show first, so I figure it out before I actually do it here on the video for the first time. That's probably not my smartest move, so I'll take that as a learning. But I do want to give you a bit of an update on what's happening. As I mentioned last week, my subscription to my streaming software, StreamYard, has doubled in price. Wasn't cheap to begin with, and it's just doesn't make good business sense to continue to spend that kind of money for streaming software. So what I have decided to do is I'm going to take a bit of a hiatus from Learning with Friends, probably for a few weeks, at least the month of July. We'll see. It's summer, it's boating time. I'm gonna try to find a little bit of time to enjoy more of that. But I will investigate some alternative streaming software and see if I can learn something new, see if it makes sense to continue these videos. If you like the videos and you want me to continue, leave me a comment. That'll definitely weigh into my decision. If I feel people are getting value out of these and enjoying them and learning something, that's my main objective here, is to try to teach you something new. Then let me know. I'd like to know that. So I will not be on Learning with Friends for a few weeks. I will continue to post my cards on Facebook and on my blog, fearlessstampandflair.com. And you can see my ideas there. I may occasionally make a video to go with those cards, but it won't be an official Learning with Friends video. So that's my plan. We will see where we go from here. I wish you all a great July. Happy 4th of July. We have fireworks coming the night before, so that should be fun. And boat parade on the 4th, and then in the evening, always an evening boat parade because everybody lights the boats up. So that's fun. But have a great summer, and I will see you when I see you.